In this video, we're going to go over a couple of quick fixes for the standalone version of PCSX2 on Xbox Series S and X. Alright, so the standalone version of PCSX2 is just absolutely killing it in performance compared to the RetroArch core, and is so much easier to set up for most everybody that it's just honestly the way to go. That being said, the current build has a couple of shortcomings that you can address easily as long as you can FTP into your Xbox. Things like enabling controller port 2, adjusting some directory settings if you so choose for your save files, and various video settings and emulator settings that aren't available in the UI yet, as well as widescreen cheats, no interlacing cheats, and HD texture packs. So let's dive in. So after you get PCSX2 installed, if you haven't installed it yet, go back and refer to my install guide. You've played around with it and you know you want to enable a couple of things. So you're also going to need to install Durango FTP. If you haven't installed this yet, there will be a download link in the description below. Get it installed exactly like you did PCSX2, so you should be able to know how to do this. But once it's installed, go ahead and hit the back button on your controller to bring up the View Details button and press A on this, and change it from an app to a game. This seems to overcome the empty local folder issue, so go ahead and give that a shot, and then you can restart your console. Once it's good to go, just launch into Durango, and start the FTP server. Now pay special note to where it says addresses of this device. That is what you are going to be typing into your FTP program, or Windows file browser, it doesn't matter. But over on my computer, I'm going to open up my Windows file browser. I like to use this over an FTP app. It makes it so I don't need to install something separate. But I'm just going to type in FTP, and then type in the IP address of my Xbox. And then press enter, and it brings me right into my Xbox's folder structure. And from here, you're going to click on local folder, and we need to find our PCSX2 folder. So it's going to be one of these ones that's just a bunch of letters and numbers, and you won't know which one it is until you go into it. Go into the local state folder, browse through the files. So this is my RetroArch folder. So let's try the other one here. There we go, local state. Hey, look at that. That is a PS2 folder structure. So now we need to find the INIs folder, and then just drag it over to your computer so we can edit it. So once you have this file over here, you could just double click on it to open it, right click on it, click on edit, doesn't really matter. But you'll see that there is just a ton of PS2 options available here to mess with. So to fix controller port 2, we just need to scroll down to the bottom here. You'll see a pad 1 listing and then a pad 2 listing, and you'll notice under pad 2, there's nothing there. So to get player 2 enabled, just copy everything that was under player 1 and paste it into player 2. Now, one important thing to note after you do this, you'll notice that it is selecting controller 1 here. So on PC language, 0 equals 1. So we need to change this over to controller 2. So just change all of these zeros into ones, so that way it is notating the second controller port. Otherwise, your player 1 controller is going to control both slots, and while this may be humorous, it's not exactly what we're looking for. And there we go. So now we could just save the INI file, copy it back over to our Xbox, and we have full 2-player support within the standalone version of PCSX2. But there is so much more that we can mess around with in here. For example, hotkeys. You all were asking for them, here they are. You can set any hotkey you want for any of these functions right here. So if you look at the open the pause menu, so this is your quick menu in-game, it's assigned to left shoulder button and right shoulder button. A lot of you have found issues with this hotkey, so now you can assign it to whatever you want. So if you look back at your controller settings just above it, let's see here, let's grab our start button. Here we go. So start, back. Okay, so let's make this hotkey start and back. So let's just change this to start and back. There we go. So now your start and back button are going to open the hotkey. So again, just save it, upload it back over to your Xbox, you're good to go. Now, one more thing you could do if you want to change the location of your memory card saves, you don't have to do this at all. It just makes it so whenever you have to uninstall, reinstall the program for updates or anything in the future, you don't have to worry about backing up your memory card saves. But you could come in here, and you could just change the location of the save folder by putting it to USB, and then you can make a folder on your USB hard drive. Call it PS2 mem cards or something. Save the folder. Save the INI, I mean. And then we can upload the PCSX2 back over to the Xbox. And now I'm going to plug my USB hard drive into my computer real quick. And I'm going to make that folder that I just told it to make my memory card saves in. So PS2 mem cards. There we go. So now when I relaunch PCSX2, my new memory card save should go right into this USB folder. So let's go ahead and confirm that real quick. So back over on the Xbox, I shut down Durango, and I'm going to boot into PCSX2, and I'm going to start the BIOS. Browser. 2 PS2 memory cards. They are unformatted, which means they're new memory cards, so there we go. Alright, perfect. And now to test our new hotkey, start and back. There it is, brings up the menu. So now we'll no longer get any conflicts with left bumper and right bumper being needed for actual gameplay. But I'm just going to go ahead and close out of PCSX2 real quick. And then just to show you all that it works as intended, I put that USB hard drive back over on my computer, I open it up, and hey, there are those 2 brand new PS2 memory cards. So now anytime I uninstall PCSX2 or update it, I don't have to worry about backing up my memory card saves. They're already on my USB drive. So next time I have to install a new version of PCSX2, I could just redirect the memory card saves here, and everything will work as intended. And for anyone that wants to put their PCSX2 saves from RetroArch or other sources, like, you could just put them right here on the USB drive now, and it makes it nice and convenient and an easy way to copy saves over. So for example, here's a couple of my PS2 memory cards from Standalone PCSX2 on PC. I have no idea what's actually on these, but let's just copy them over. These 2 memory cards that are in here are brand new, so they have nothing on them, so if these have something on them, then I've moved my saves over. Back over to the Xbox. So now I'm just going to get booted back into PCSX2, start the BIOS, and see if there's any saves on these memory cards that I copied over to my USB hard drive. Let's see here, browser, memory card slot 1, and there we have it. There's a couple of saves on here. So we've got Metal Gear Solid 2, Plant Cleared, Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3, Mega Man X Collection. And on slot 2, absolutely nothing, that's okay. But hey, now we can load up to Metal Gear Solid 2 and be on a different game save. There we go. And now we can confirm that multiplayer is working also. I have Burnout 3 here in multiplayer mode, so here's player 1's controller. And player 2's controller is now working as intended as well. And then just to confirm, we do have both players working as intended. I cannot control 2 players at once. I do not have the mental fortitude for such things. But there we go. That is how you can get your multiplayer enabled until the INI is properly placed within the initial setup file. So with access to this Q Drive local folder, you should be able to add a bunch of stuff to your PCSX2 standalone build that you want, such as cheat codes for the widescreen hacks. So if you actually back out to your main directory, head into S, Program Files, Windows Apps, find the PCSX2 folder. It'll be the one with the version number, so just look at all of them, match it to what shows up on your dev mode screen. Not that one. There it is. So we actually have the widescreen codes here and the cheat codes here. So if we just move those over to our computer, then we could go back into local folder, PCSX2 folder, local state. So widescreen cheats. So we can just unzip these real quick. And then paste them into our cheats widescreen folder, and then just wait for it to do its thing. There's a lot of tiny files, so it will take a while. And there we go. Once those are finished transferring over, we can just back out of that main folder. And then we could do the same thing with this cheats folder, if you so choose. Go in, grab everything, and copy it into the cheats INI folder. And then just wait for it to do its thing once again. But that is not all. Now we could also take advantage of PCSX2's new capabilities of loading HD texture packs. But do be aware, this is on the Q drive, so you are stuck at that 30 gigabyte limit, and if you go over it, you're going to break a lot of stuff. But we can open the textures folder, download an HD texture pack, so I have Xenasaga's HD UI work in progress texture pack here. Grab the folder with the game code, so the region code followed by the game code, and you drag that into the texture folder. And then any other cheats you might want to load up, you can just put their PNAC file into the cheats folder. But now you may be asking yourself, how do I get this stuff activated within the standalone version of PCSX2? Well, we're going to need to make some game settings INI files. And you can easily just create a text file, name it what it needs to be named, and type in everything you need to do. But that's a little bit more complicated than I want to cover. So what I recommend doing is downloading the new Qt version of PCSX2 if you're on Windows. Load up your game list, and then you can manually go into Properties, and you can start checking settings that you need to check. And you can do this with games that also need specific settings for game fixes, like Jak and Daxter's Shadow Fix. You could go in and you can apply the skip draw hack and all that stuff in here, and it will create the text file for you. But for example, we could come in here, go down to the Graphics tab, and I'm going to enable my HD texture pack. So I'm going to go over to Advanced, and I'm going to load textures, and I'm going to tell it to pre-cache those textures. And with that set, you could also go up and you could go into Emulation. You can enable widescreen patches if you want to, and you can enable the no interlacing patches we just placed as well. And if you also have cheats, you can enable that there as well. But I just have enable widescreen and no interlacing copied over into the folders right now. But now I can just close out of this. And if I go into my PCSX2 folder where I downloaded this stuff, there's a game settings INI folder here. And inside that is my new Xenasaga INI file that was just created. So here we go. Load texture replacements, true. Pre-cache texture replacements, true. Enable widescreen patches, true. Enable cheats, false. Enable no interlace patching, true. So I could just copy this new INI folder file into my game settings file on the Xbox. Again, you could manually make a text document, name it after everything it needs to be named, rename it INI, edit everything manually, but this is just such an easier method that I'm just going to show it. But now to check to make sure everything is working as intended. So now over in PCSX2, I'm going to open up my game list, go down to Xenasaga, and there we go, 9 game patches and 1 widescreen patches are active. Alright, so as you can see, things look a little squished compared to how they should, and that's honestly because I have this set to auto 4:3 in the video settings. But if we head over to the graphics settings and change the aspect ratio, change it to 16:9 here, there we go, things are looking as intended. Like, it's displaying in widescreen, it's looking not too bad. And the HD texture pack is appearing as intended. You can see that things are a lot sharper than they normally would be in this game. But for comparison's sake, here it is without any of those patches. As you can see, when it's stretched to 16:9, characters are looking a little chonky. And when we go into the main menu, you can see that the character portraits and text are a lot more aliased and jaggy, so the HD texture packs are certainly taking effect. So for those of you looking to get the best possible PCSX2 experience out of the standalone version on Xbox Series X and S consoles, I definitely recommend going through, looking up the wiki settings for each game if it needs special settings, applying them within the Qt version of PCSX2 on a computer, and copying those game settings over to your Xbox. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video. It's a bit longer than I intended, but there's so much more you could get out of standalone PCSX2 at this time if you're willing to put in the legwork. Hopefully a lot of this stuff becomes a lot more standardized as the program advances, but it's still cool that we are able to do it regardless. But thank you so much as always for watching this video. Hope it helps you get your PCSX2 experience in a state that you are more happy with. But I do have a couple of huge favors to ask you here at the end. If you haven't done so already, please hit that thumbs up, thumbs down button, depending on how much you like today's tutorial. And if you haven't already, hit that sub button, notification bell, so you can see when new content goes live on the channel. Loads to come, and I'd love to have you all along for the ride. For anyone interested in further helping support the channel, you can also check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. A little goes a long way to keeping us running and bringing more content like this to all of you. Big shout out to all of our current champions. Thank you so much for being amazing and believing in what we do here. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we'll see you back next video.